at gokubota.com.
Unique stories that define our state's character. Here's Kevin Mackey with this week's Montana Moment, brought to you by Montana Chevy Dealers.
One of Montana's most treasured amenities is our abundance of wildlife. The raptors that fly over Big Sky Country are some of the most glorious. When many of those birds of prey are orphaned or grounded with injuries, a nonprofit center in Kalispell helps them recover. Kevin Mackey has our Montana Moment.
Beth Watne founded Montana Wild Wings Recovery Center in 2013. Its mission is to rescue, rehabilitate, and if possible, release injured or orphaned birds of prey back into the wild. The former physician's assistant worked in emergency rooms, pediatrics, urgent care, and community health. She's always been a caregiver.
I just switched species.
She's always taken care of animals, both mammals and birds. 41 years ago, she gave a temporary home to her first raptor, a golden eagle named Catherine.
She was very personable. She laid an egg and invited me to help sit on her nest. And I got very interested in raptors.
The Federal Fish and Wildlife Center in Denver convinced Beth to start rehabbing injured raptors and to showcase birds that probably wouldn't survive in the wild for education. Those raptors are good teachers.
We see the importance of educating people about the raptors and the importance they play in our environment.
Watching raptors reclaim their freedom in the wild is always a thrill for Beth and her volunteers.
I average about 47% that go back to the wild. I have a higher survival rate, but many of those that are non-releasable then are transferred to other education programs.
When it began, the center took in 6 to 8 birds a year. So far this year, it's admitted more than 100 birds.
This is a female snowy owl. She was hit by a car out of Big Fork. We've had her here 8 years now. 90% of the birds we get in are hit by vehicles.
Beth says with more cars on the road than ever, the number of birds hit is only increasing.
Unfortunately, some of them have been poisoned.
The center tests all birds for lead poisoning and treat them if necessary. They test for some fractures. 3 veterinarians volunteer their time.
Occasional gunshot, unfortunately. Barbed wire fences. We've had 2 really bad ones this year. Windows. We get some that hit windows.
It's essential the raptors have a chamber or mews to live, with ramps, stumps, even heated perches for birds that would migrate. There are 2 flight barns that allow the birds to practice flying, one for larger raptors.
So this is a 100-foot flight barn, so when our eagles are getting their strength back and mending from there, we put them in here so they have room to fly and get strong again, so we're putting them out at full strength.
To reduce stress on the birds and limit interaction with people, neither flight barns are open to the public while the birds are exercising. This is a 40-foot flight barn for smaller raptors like hawks.
After we've had them for any length of time, we want to make sure they can fly well, that they're eating well, before we turn them back out into the wild.
Feeding all these birds is a lot of responsibility.
Welcome to the food room. Today we are preparing lunch for the hawks, the owls, and the falcons.
On the menu, gophers, mice, and chicken. Detailed records are kept making sure each bird is eating what they should.
Not only do we track how much we're feeding them, but we're also tracking how much they have for leftovers.
It can tell you if the bird might be sick or whether its diet needs adjustment. Ruby Hadley is Beth's granddaughter and a volunteer.
This is a barn owl. This is Igor. He is the only owl that cannot hoot. All he can do is scream.
Arthur, the ferruginous hawk, was hit by a car.
She makes that soft chirping sound.
Victory, the bald eagle, is 6. He's a favorite permanent resident.
Yes, and he's very chatty with us.
He has a fractured wing.
He fell from a nest when he was young and not found until the fracture had healed. And unfortunately, with hollow bones, you can't re-break them. So part of the wing had to be amputated. Yes.
Victory is one of the fortunate birds. With Montana Wild Wings Recovery Center seeing such an increase in admits of injured birds, How many more birds are out there that aren't found?
This is the
For Beth,
bald
every
eagle.
one of her admits
His
is
name
fascinating.
Victory. Some of these raptors migrate 8,000 miles and make it back the next year. People want to know who's the smartest, and I think they're all very smart. When you think of what they have to deal with every day to feed themselves and survive with us humans.
Handlers never pet the birds. Their space is always respected. They're not pets. They are wild. Kevin Mackey, NBC, Montana. If you want to watch this story again or any of our Montana moments, go to NBCMontana.com/Montana Moment. These unique stories about the Treasure State, its history, and its great people are now the Montana Moment podcast. Look for new episodes every week. If you have a story idea, let us know. Until next time, be safe, stay healthy, and keep making Montana Moments.